The vast emptiness of space stretched before Captain Jaewon Park, a man who had seen more battles than most could imagine. His eyes reflected the dim blue light of the command center, scanning holographic displays that showed humanity's desperate situation. The alien invasion was not just a threat, it was a potential extinction event. Dr. Hyejin Kim stood quietly beside him, her research documents clutched tightly in her hands. She was different from typical military researchers, younger, more daring, with a mind that saw possibilities where others saw only limitations. Her proposal was radical, almost impossible to believe. "The current ship designs won't work," she said softly, her voice cutting through the tense atmosphere. The room was filled with senior military strategists, each wearing crisp uniforms that seemed to reflect their rigid thinking. The lead military commander, a stern-faced man named Admiral Choi, raised an eyebrow. Another theoretical concept? Hyejin spread her documents across the holographic table. Complex mathematical equations and quantum physics diagrams danced in the air, showing intricate designs that looked more like abstract art than traditional engineering schematics. "Our current understanding of physics is limited," she explained. "We're thinking about spaceship design using old principles. But what if we could manipulate gravitational fields? What if we could compress space-time itself?" Several officers chuckled. Compressed space-time seemed like science fiction. Humanity was losing a war against technologically superior aliens, and here was a young researcher talking about bending fundamental physical laws. Admiral Choi looked skeptical. "We've lost 17 colony worlds. We need practical solutions, not academic fantasies." Jaewon Park stepped forward. Unlike the other officers, he listened carefully. Something in Hyejin's presentation sparked his interest. He had seen impossible. Things happen in desperate moments. "Show me more," he requested. Hyejin's presentation continued. She demonstrated how traditional propulsion systems were fundamentally limited. Chemical rockets, ion drives, even experimental plasma engines, all were slow and predictable. The alien fleet could anticipate and counter every human movement, but her proposed design was different. It wasn't about adding more power. It was about understanding and manipulating the very fabric of space. "Imagine a ship that doesn't move through space," she said. "Imagine a ship that changes space around itself." The room grew silent. Her words were simple, but their implications were profound. Admiral Choi's expression slowly changed. From dismissive to intrigued, from intrigued to serious consideration. Jaewon recognized that look. It was the expression of a military leader realizing they might have found an unexpected solution. "The risks are significant," Admiral Choi said. "The computational requirements alone would be astronomical." Hyejin smiled. She had prepared for this argument. Her next slides showed preliminary computational models, simulations that suggested her theory wasn't just possible, it might be probable. "We need a prototype," she said. "Just one experimental vessel. If it works, we change everything we know about space travel." The military leaders discussed. Arguments erupted. Some saw genius, others saw madness, but underneath it all was a shared desperation. Humanity was losing, and conventional strategies had failed. Jaewon watched Hyejin. She wasn't just presenting a technical solution, she was offering hope. "We'll need a team," Admiral Choi finally said. "The best quantum physicists, the most innovative engineers, and we'll need funding." Hyejin knew this was more than approval. This was the beginning of something unprecedented. Outside the conference room, Earth continued its silent orbit. Billions of humans lived their lives, unaware that a young researcher and a battle-hardened captain were about to challenge everything known about space, physics, and human potential. The first step toward saving humanity had just been taken. The orbital shipyards above Earth hummed with an unusual energy. Massive construction platforms held the skeletal frame of what would become humanity's most advanced spacecraft. Engineers worked in careful coordination, their movements precise and calculated. Sung-Ho Lee checked the quantum field generators one more time. His hands moved quickly across holographic interfaces, each touch sending complex computational waves through the ship's emerging systems. The USS Quantum Breach was more than a vessel. It was a mathematical problem being solved, in real time. Dr. Hee-Jin Kim watched from an observation deck, her eyes tracking every minute detail. The ship looked strange, not like traditional spacecraft with smooth hulls and predictable shapes. Its design seemed to twist and bend, as if the very metal refused to follow normal geometric rules. "We're creating something that shouldn't exist," Sung-ho muttered, more to himself than anyone else. Exotic matter generators lined the ship's core. These weren't ordinary engines, but complex systems designed to manipulate space-time itself. Each component represented years of theoretical research, pushed into practical application. The funding had been massive. Every major Earth government had contributed, recognizing this might be humanity's last chance against the alien invasion. Billions of credits were invested in what many scientists still considered an impossible dream. Computational clusters worked, non-stop, running millions of simulations every second. Each test pushed the boundaries of known physics. What seemed impossible yesterday was becoming tomorrow's reality. Captain Jae-won Park visited the construction site regularly. His military background meant he understood practical limitations, but something about this project felt different. This wasn't just another weapon. This was a fundamental reimagining of human technological potential. "The aliens expect us to follow rules," Hyojin once explained to him. "We're going to show them that human innovation has no rules." Sung-ho's team worked in shifts. Some were quantum physicists, others were advanced computational engineers. They spoke a language of mathematics and theoretical possibilities that few could understand. Prototype components arrived from research facilities around the world. Each piece was a marvel of engineering. Superconducting materials that could maintain stability at impossible temperatures, gravitational field manipulators that could compress space itself. Weeks turned into months. The ship slowly took shape. Its exterior looked organic, almost alive, as if it could think and adapt. Traditional spacecraft were designed to survive space. This vessel seemed designed to challenge space itself. "We're not just building a ship," Sung-ho told his team during one late-night session. "We're creating a scientific statement." Security was extreme. Every worker underwent multiple clearance checks. The possibility of alien infiltration was always present. One leaked detail could compromise humanity's most important technological development. Radiation shielding used materials that didn't exist 5 years ago. Energy systems could theoretically generate power from quantum fluctuations. Each system pushed scientific understanding further. Captain Park understood the political implications. If this worked, humanity would transform from a defensive civilization to an exploratory one. The USS Quantum Breach represented more than a military solution. It was a symbol of human potential. Dr. Hee-Jin's original calculations seemed impossible. Yet here they were, turning theoretical equations into physical reality. The ship's core could potentially compress space, creating shortcuts through the universe that no known civilization had ever achieved. Sung-ho ran another simulation. The computational models showed something extraordinary, movement patterns that defied traditional physics. A ship that didn't just travel through space but could potentially restructure space around itself. "Ready for the first system integration test?" he announced one quiet morning. The orbital shipyard fell silent. Hundreds of engineers watched their screens, breath held. This moment could change everything, or prove that some scientific dreams remained just dreams. The first quantum field generator hummed to life. Something fundamental was about to change. The alien fleet emerged near Jupiter's orbital colonies like a dark, metallic nightmare. Thousands of ships, each looking like intricate mechanical spiders, hung against the stark background of space. Their weapons had already destroyed 3 human settlements. Now they approached the last remaining colony with calculated precision. Captain Jae-won Park stood on the bridge of the USS Quantum Breach. His hands were steady, his breathing controlled. Years of preparation had led to this moment. "Quantum, drive ready," announced Sung-ho Lee from the engineering station. His fingers danced across holographic controls. each movement representing complex mathematical calculations. Dr. Hyojin Kim watched the alien formation. Their ships moved with a cold, mechanical efficiency that had crushed every previous human defense. But today would be different. Detection systems are tracking multiple enemy vessels, reported the tactical officer. Her voice remained calm, but a slight tremor revealed her tension. The alien ships looked impossible. Each vessel seemed to defy traditional understanding of spacecraft design. Sharp, angular shapes that could rotate and transform in ways human engineers had never imagined. They had destroyed entire human fleets without breaking formation. Quantum drive engaging, Sung-ho said quietly. Nothing seemed to happen at first. The USS Quantum Breach looked motionless, but something fundamental was changing at the quantum level. Space itself was beginning to react differently around the ship. Suddenly, the ship moved. It didn't move like traditional spacecraft. There was no acceleration, no burst of energy. One moment it was in one location, the next moment somewhere completely different. As if space had simply folded around the vessel, the alien fleet's tracking systems went crazy. Sensors couldn't understand what was happening. A spacecraft that didn't follow traditional movement laws was something they had never encountered. Captain Park's voice remained steady. Target primary command vessel. The ship's energy weapons were unlike anything in human or alien arsenal. Instead of traditional laser or plasma emissions, these weapons manipulated quantum fields. They didn't just damage, they disrupted fundamental atomic structures. The first alien command ship simply dissolved, not exploded, not destroyed. Dissolved, as if its molecular structure had been fundamentally altered. Direct quantum resonance. Hit confirmed, Sung-ho reported. The remaining alien vessels tried to scatter. But the USS Quantum Breach was everywhere and nowhere. It appeared between ships, beside them, above them, defying every known law of spatial movement. Alien communication. Channels went silent. Their perfect mathematically precise formations collapsed into chaos. Dr. Hyojin watched the battle with scientific fascination. This wasn't just a military engagement. This was a fundamental demonstration of human potential to reimagine physical limitations. They expected us to fight by their rules, she whispered. We just rewrote the rules. In less than 17 minutes, the entire alien battle group was neutralized, not destroyed through conventional warfare, but fundamentally disrupted at a quantum level. Captain Park allowed himself a small smile. Years of human suffering, 3 destroyed colony worlds, countless lives lost, and now a single ship had changed everything. Quantum drive performance at 98.7% efficiency, Sung-ho reported, almost sounding surprised. The bridge crew remained silent. They had just witnessed something that would rewrite human understanding of space travel, warfare, and fundamental physics. Near Jupiter's orbit, debris from alien ships slowly drifted. The USS Quantum Breach hung silently, looking more like a mathematical equation than a traditional spacecraft. Humanity had just sent a message to the universe. We are not just survivors. We are innovators. Research facilities around the world buzzed with new energy. The success of the USS Quantum Breach had changed everything. Scientists who were once considered crazy were now national heroes. Dr. Hyojin Kim's team worked around the clock. Their laboratory looked more like a quantum mechanics playground than a traditional research center. Complex holographic models danced in the air, showing impossible mathematical calculations that challenged everything known about physics. We're not just improving a technology, she told her junior researchers. We're rewriting the fundamental understanding of space and time. Sung-ho Lee had become the chief engineer of the expanding quantum technology program. Multiple prototype ships were now under construction. Each design pushed the boundaries further than the last. Alien intelligence networks, scattered and confused, after the Jupiter engagement, tried to understand what had happened. Their most advanced tracking systems had been completely overwhelmed by the human technology. Government funding poured in from every major nation. Billions of credits were invested in quantum research. Universities restructured entire physics departments. What was once theoretical research became the most critical scientific pursuit in human history. The first set of quantum drive prototypes began emerging. They weren't just spacecraft designs, they were mathematical challenges made physical. Each vessel looked more like a living mathematical equation than a traditional ship. Captain J-Wan Park oversaw the military applications, but he understood this was more than a military technology. This was a fundamental shift in human potential. "We're not just developing a weapon," he explained during a strategic briefing. "We're creating a new way of understanding the universe." Research. Teams discovered something extraordinary. The quantum drive technology could do more than just move through space. It could potentially manipulate space itself. Distances became flexible. Time became a negotiable concept. Alien observation networks watched in growing concern. The humans were developing technology that broke every known scientific principle. What seemed impossible was becoming routine. Dr. Kim's team made breakthrough after breakthrough. They learned to manipulate quantum fields with increasing precision. Energy generation became almost limitless. Computational systems could perform calculations that would have taken traditional computers millions of years. "Each discovery opens 10 more questions," Sung-ho would often say, watching the complex holographic models shift and change. The technology spread quickly. Medical researchers saw potential for revolutionary treatments. Computational scientists developed quantum processors that could solve problems previously considered unsolvable. Energy researchers found ways to generate power from quantum fluctuations. Alien. Diplomatic channels became increasingly nervous. The humans were no longer just a survival species. They were becoming something else entirely. A civilization capable of reimagining fundamental physical laws. Research facilities worked in shifts. Young scientists who had once been considered too radical now led major research projects. The impossible was becoming possible with each passing week. "We're not just catching up," Dr. Kim told a group of young researchers. "We're moving beyond the current understanding of technology." Military strategists recognized the broader implications. A technology that could manipulate space could potentially create defensive systems that were essentially impenetrable. Offensive capabilities became almost limitless. Sung-ho's team developed quantum communication systems that could transmit information faster than light. Traditional communication limitations simply disappeared. The human research expansion happened at an unprecedented rate. What would have taken traditional scientific communities decades was now happening in months. Alien observation networks continued to watch. They realized something fundamental had changed. The humans were no longer just another species to be conquered. They had become something unexpected. A technological revolution was happening, and it was happening faster than anyone could have predicted. The universe looked different now. Humanity had transformed from a defensive civilization to an exploratory species that understood space as a flexible concept rather than a fixed limitation. Captain J-Wan Park stood on the bridge of the advanced quantum research vessel. Around him, star systems that once seemed impossibly distant now appeared like neighboring cities. Human exploration had become something magical, a dance between mathematical precision and unlimited potential. Dr. Hyjin Kim's quantum drive technology had done more than create advanced spacecraft. It had fundamentally changed how humans understood reality itself. Alien civilizations watched in stunned silence. The species they once considered primitive was now traversing galactic distances in moments. What took their most advanced civilizations years, humans accomplished in minutes. Research outposts spread across multiple star systems. Each new colony represented not just territorial expansion, but a scientific breakthrough. Humans were learning to live in environments that previously seemed impossible. Sung-ho Lee, now the chief quantum research director, continued pushing technological boundaries. His teams developed systems that could essentially fold space, creating shortcuts through the universe that defied traditional understanding. "We're not just traveling," he would explain to young researchers. "We're rewriting the fundamental rules of existence." The first intergalactic human research stations looked nothing like traditional space facilities. They were living mathematical equations, structures that could adapt, change, and respond to environmental challenges in real time. Quantum communication networks connected human colonies across impossible distances. Information traveled faster than light, transforming how human societies functioned and communicated. Military strategists who once worried about survival now discussed exploration strategies. The threat of alien invasion had transformed into an opportunity for scientific discovery. Energy generation became almost limitless. Quantum field generators could extract power from the fundamental fabric of space itself. Traditional fuel sources became obsolete. Alien diplomatic channels that once threatened humanity now requested technological exchanges. The humans had become something unexpected, not just survivors, but innovators who could reimagine fundamental, physical laws. Dr. Kim's original research had done more than create an advanced spacecraft. It had opened a doorway to a new understanding of human potential. Computational systems developed by human researchers could solve problems that previous civilizations would have considered impossible. Complex mathematical challenges became routine problem-solving exercises. The human expansion wasn't just technological. It represented a philosophical transformation. A species that had once fought for survival was now exploring the fundamental nature of existence. Space was no longer a battlefield. It became a canvas for human imagination. Captain Park reflected on the journey, from desperate defense against alien invasions to becoming a species that could essentially reshape reality. The transformation had happened faster than anyone could have predicted. Research facilities on Earth and across multiple colony worlds continued pushing boundaries. Young scientists saw no limitations, only opportunities waiting to be discovered. The USS Quantum Breach, the original experimental vessel, now sat in a museum, but its legacy was everywhere. Every quantum-capable spacecraft carried its fundamental design principles. Alien observation networks continued monitoring human expansion. They realized something fundamental had changed. The humans were no longer just another species in the universe. They had become something more, a civilization that didn't just explore space, but could potentially reshape it.